Too good to be true. Oh, you got them all in line. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is October the 7th. It's on. Turn your headset up. Can any... Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, the people in the back say they can hear me, so Mr. Martin, turn your amplifier up. Can you hear me now? Okay, he's shaking his head yes, so we can proceed with the meeting this morning. It is October the 7th, 2024, and we just adjourned from our executive session, and so we'll begin this morning with the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Tony, if you would come forward, please.
Thank you for allowing me to pray for you. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your presence here this morning, and we thank you for the abundant blessings that you have given to each and every one of us. We thank you for our great country and the freedoms that we enjoy, and we ask your help in protecting them. Father, we thank you that you are here, and we ask your divine wisdom that would guide this meeting as the agenda items are discussed and the decisions are made. May what happens here today be beneficial for all of the citizens of Mojave County. Be with each one of us, helping us to be good neighbors to one another. May your love permeate our streets and schools, businesses, and our homes and our hearts. And Father, this morning we lift up our brothers and sisters in Israel to you. We ask that you comfort them today as they mourn and remember the events of a year ago, and continue to guide and protect them as they continue to fight for their survival. And again, Father, we just thank you for all of the wonderful things that you do for us and your presence among those gathered here. We pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Very much. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, can you advise whether or not Supervisor Angus will be with us this morning?
She is not on the line.
Okay, just so you know, the Board of Supervisors may by motion recess into executive session to receive legal advice during this meeting this morning. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to call for an executive session to be held on October 21st, 2024 at 9 a.m. for discussion and consultation with legal counsel.
Second.
A motion and second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes, and we'll go on to the official business to come before the board, beginning with the discussion or pending or contemplated litigation claims and demands. Attorney Esplin?
Good morning. I have nothing to report. Thank you.
Committee and or legislative reports. I'll begin by stating that I did travel to Phoenix this past week for the County Supervisors Association meetings. Supervisor Lincoln-Felter.
I believe we have a water report. I have nothing additional to report. Thank you.
Okay. Supervisor Gold.
Nothing today, Madam Chairman.
And Supervisor Johnson.
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Okay, we'll go on now to the lobbyist report from High Ground. Mr. Ponder,
Madam Chair, Supervisors, thanks again for the opportunity. I wanted to update you. The last time we spoke, I mentioned that there may be an opportunity that the governor's office would be seeking out discussions about regulating other basins in the state. There are several communities throughout the state who are desperate for some groundwater protections, and seeing that nothing passed in the legislative session and that things had sort of hit a lull, I think DWR was getting to the point where they felt like they had to take some type of action and have conversation. That led to last week there being a hearing for DWR in the Wilcox Basin in southeast Arizona. And that meeting lasted about 2.5 hours. DWR gave a very thorough but dry presentation on the groundwater challenges being faced down there, and then laid out the two options that they had, an INA or an AMA, and really led the viewers to believe that the only option was an AMA based on the land subsidence in the basin. I say all this to inform you that obviously Gail Griffin was in attendance at that meeting. It is her district, but also an issue that she's slowed down any progress from our perspective on a solution in Mojave County. She did speak. The first thing that she said was that we already have all the tools that we need. That resulted in a vocal dissent from the audience. And so I would expect that the next step for DWR, it would be a formal hearing. Now, the one last week was informal. You may recall that when we did the INA process in 2021, there was a September informal hearing that led to a November formal hearing that led to a December decision to create the INA. So I would anticipate that we would likely lead into a formal hearing for the Wilcox Basin as early as maybe next month. They have to allow 30 days for the notice, and then a decision sometime thereafter. It could be that the hearing is later than that. We don't know for sure. But all this to say, there will be, I imagine, some conversations that go on about the legislation that failed to pass last year, and if there's an opportunity. I do know that Senator Kerr in particular, as well as Representative Dunn, have indicated a desire to potentially resolve some of these items in the lame duck after the election in November. If that's going to happen, then meetings need to start happening in earnest, and so I will keep the county apprised of those conversations as they happen. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Lingenfelter, go
Mr.
ahead.
Ponder, with regarding the Wilcox Basin, I know that I think it was in 2022 when the legislature expanded Water Infrastructure Finance Authority. They also mandated that the Arizona Department of Water Resources would do a supply and demand report for every single one of the groundwater basins within the state of Arizona every 5 years. And in order to do that, they're coming out with, I think, around 6, 7, 8 new supply and demand reports every year. Last year, I think they came out with 6 or 7 in December of 23. One of those was the Wilcox Basin, which has been identified as the worst, or should I say the most unhealthy basin in the state. Do you remember what the annual groundwater deficit was in the Wilcox Basin?
Yeah, Madam Chair, Supervisor Lingenfelter, the annual groundwater deficit in the Wilcox Basin based on the supply-demand study, and Mr. Lingenfelter is correct, they were one of the first basins to be analyzed, and I believe there were 8 that were done last year. The annual groundwater deficit, to my recollection, was around 110,000 acre feet, which, and the dairy down there uses about 108,000 acre feet per year. That's roughly the equivalent of the water usage of the city of Tucson.
And not just the city of Tucson, but the city of Tucson's metropolitan area, which is about 1.1 million people. That's a lot of water.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Lingenfelter, that is correct. The city of Tucson does not serve only Tucson residents. Their water department, in fact, has a much larger service area. So you're right, they do serve well in excess of their 650,000 residents or so.
Yeah, altogether about 1.1 million people. That's how much water that many people uses. And the sad part about that is, much like here and in many other rural basins, there really is no plan B because there is no canal system for the cap, and there is no other, water supply where they can round out their water portfolio. It's that groundwater basin that people are 100% dependent upon for their economic development to maintain their property values, all these things. And right now there's no tool in statute besides an AMA, which is a one-size-fits-all, and it pushes all your groundwater control down to Phoenix. So hopefully they'll get together and get around the table. So as these supply and demand reports come out, we're not all pushed and stuck into these AMAs. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Lingenfelter, that is correct. And then this, I just want to go back to some of the data in the Wilcoxes. Some of the wells had dropped, their water level had dropped more than 400 feet since the 1960s. And as you know, many of the Kingman wells were drilled before the 1960s. And so this is why it was so important that we did get the INA in 2021. Obviously, the INA doesn't limit the volume of water that can be withdrawn from the basin, but it does stop the irrigators from growing. But the Wilcox story is a warning label for other basins throughout the state. And so that's why we're hopeful to be able to not only get the protections for the Hualapai Basin, but to find some sort of mechanism that is a deterrent for similar type behavior in the Sacramento and the detrital and other basins across the state.
Thank you, Mr. Ponder. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll now go on to the county manager's report.
Good morning, Madam Chair and board members. I would like to give you an update this morning. It's just a brief update on the progress related to the ARPA-funded project. And just to refresh your memories, Mojave County received $41,213,672 of that. And as you recall, the intent or the restrictions was that we program all of it by the end of this year, the current calendar year 2024. So to date, $40+ million of the 41 has been programmed, which is equate to 98% of the funds, and 25 million of the 40 million that is programmed, which equates to 60%, has already been spent. What I wanted to do is take that and put it into a handful of different buckets of approved uses, just to let you know where we're at. So on the screen, as you can see, I broke it down into 6 different categories for all the projects. So we have $2.5 million that you, the board, have programmed that would be categorized for public health, $1.2 million for public safety, broadband and technology comes to about $8.6 million. Community services is a bit over $2.5 million. Drinking water supplies, a significant investment of a little over $12 million. And last but not least, the infrastructure, which consists of a number of things, including power, sanitary sewer, and roads, gets the largest chunk of just under $13 million. All these projects, or all these funds, the $40 million that has been programmed, consists of over 80 different projects, small and large. And I'm really proud to tell you that all of them are being administered in-house by our county staff. No outside consulting services or third-party involvement. This has been truly a significant undertaking for the last 2 years since we received the funds and the board started programming them. And we've done so, as you recall, with some challenging staffing issues and shortages and such, but we've stayed the course, and we made a commitment to you, the board, to carry those forward. And the commitment at heart was that we would program those funds as required by the end of the calendar year, and then it would be spent in its entirety as programmed by December of 2026. So we are on a trajectory to achieve that. And while it's been challenging and to keep track of it, if you all recall, we have a dashboard that is linked to additional information and map related to each of those projects and provides a status update. And so while it's been quite challenging, it honestly has been rewarding as well to know that all the funds went to the intended cause, which was to mitigate the impact of the pandemic that we experienced like every other agency in the country. So I will end with, as I said, 40 of the 41 has been programmed. We clearly are on a trajectory to program the rest of it. We are working with every district that still has funds to allocate and program. We will, without a doubt, achieve the milestone of programming the funds by December in 2 months from now, and to incur those dollars in 2 years by December of 2026. So if you have any question, I'll be happy to try to answer it, but I really wanted to provide it as an update since we are on the eve of the December 2024 timeline, and to tell you that we are, it's a lot of work, it's hard work. We're grateful to the board for choosing this path, and we're delighted and happy with the progress so far.
Okay, Mr. Alters, thank you very much for that report. It has been a challenge for all 5 of us, and I think that each supervisor did the best they could with the monies allotted to them for their particular districts. My only wish is that we had more so that we could do the things that will help our citizens go forward and get over any effects that COVID had on their life and their business. So, thank you for that report. Does any of the supervisors have anything they would like to add? Seeing none, we'll go on to the call of the public then, and I'll be going alphabetically. Mr. Greg Befford will be first, followed by Debbie Cleveland. Give us your name and community you're from.
Greg Befford for the record, from Yucca. I'm here on the anniversary of October 7th, the event where we were told that there was a surprise attack by Hamas on Israel that killed 1,139 people and injured 8,730 people. I produced a video shortly after that that you can find on Desert Sage podcast called Stop Cheering for Democide, where I outlined how this conflict was nothing like you're being told. It's just like COVID-19 when I came up and told you you're being lied to. And over time, the truth has come out. It's no different than this thing here. I told you you're being lied to. And I said Israel was an apartheid state, that they had been supporting Hamas all along. This is from Israeli newspapers. Netanyahu has been supporting him, and their government has been supporting him for strategic and geopolitical purposes all along. And that we were told this was a surprise attack. I talked about my experience as an officer where the federal government sent me and other law enforcement trainers to a 2-week school put on by Israelis, Shin Bet and Mossad intelligence. I knew the event that they were describing, this infiltration, could not have happened the way that they described it. And I talked about that in my video. And what we have seen now, over time, is again, nothing but Israel acting as a genocidal apartheid state, doing nothing but ethnically cleansing Palestinians from their homeland. That's what's occurring. Gaza, you can compare Gaza and Auschwitz. It's no different. Gaza is an open-air prison. Now, the way they're being killed, it might be different. But ask yourselves, would the prisoners in Auschwitz, would they have had the right to rise up and kill their oppressors? How about the slaves, the black slaves? Would they have had the right to rise up and kill their oppressors, the people enslaving them? This conflict is nothing like you've been told. Israel knew. It's come out now. Israel knew a year in advance. A document called the Jericho Wall, 40-page document called Jericho Wall, where they knew a year in advance that this was going to occur, and they ignored it. They allowed it to occur to advance their geopolitical and strategic purposes. The people that were killed were also killed by friendly IDF forces. That's been discovered now. It's called the Hannibal Directive. They want to make sure that nobody has escaped, that prevents soldiers from being captured. And that's what happened. There were innocent civilians. Yes, Hamas, committed atrocious acts. I'm not condoning that. But the people at the top of that power pyramid do not care about how many Palestinians or Israeli Jews or anybody else, Christians, who were also being killed there. They don't care how many of them are being killed. They do not care. They do not care. I'll be back.
Thank you. Debbie Cleveland. If you're the next one up, please make your way to the front so that we can move this along a little quickly. Jennifer Esposito, you'll be next.
Hi, I'm Debbie Cleveland, and I have been working the fairgrounds for a few years, and I thought I was on the agenda, but I'm not, so that's okay. I wanted to
Debbie,
talk...
can we at least have the community you're representing or live in?
What?
Gave us your name, not where you live.
Oh, I live in Kingman here.
Okay, go ahead.
You want to know where?
No.
Okay. There's a few things that I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if I'm really in the right place or not. Maybe I should take this to the other guy. But anyway, I want to talk about making sure that the fair books get out before school lets out. This is imperative. And I'll tell you why. It's because when I get the books out before school lets out in the summertime, in April, that way the teachers have a chance to figure out what they want to do as a project. I don't know if any of you have been to the fairgrounds to see the open exhibits, but I have a thing called the Wall of Beauty. And the reason I call it the Wall of Beauty, it's because of all the children from ages first grade to about the 3rd grade, create little artwork, little splashes of color that's kind of goofy. But they get tickets. Each kid gets a ticket. 1 ticket for a 1st grader. Can that 1st grader come into the fairgrounds? No! Guess who they have to bring with them? Mom and Dad and Grandma and Grandpa. And that's money. That's money for the fairgrounds. And that's why it's an important thing that we get those books out early. Next, we need to cut that book order in half because they're just not getting out. The next thing I want to discuss is the volunteers. We had no volunteers. That's one of the reasons it was pretty low. The way that you keep volunteers is you make it have fun. All of my volunteers are retired. They've been doing their crocheting or their sewing or whatever they're doing. That's what they've been doing for years. And so they want to be involved, but they want to be involved and have fun. And how do you have fun? You feed the volunteers. So what do? I turned around and I got the Chef Qualls from the high school. He has a group of kids that he's a cook out there. He teaches them. And they come in and they did the cooking for the fair, my volunteers. 10 days is all I'm asking for money for 10 days. It's right around $2,000, which isn't all that much money to feed my volunteers. What we do is we sit around the round table and we talk to each other. We create relationships. And everybody comes back again next year. And it works out really fun. We have fun time. We talk with each other. We eat. We have a little soda, a little water. And everybody has a fun time socializing with the food. The kids show up. Chef Qualls brings in these kids, and they're dressed in their little white jackets and their little white hats, and they're all coming to attention. It's awesome to see how he has these kids, high school kids, and they're ready to start their own businesses in cooking, in restaurant business. Really? Okay,
Miss
I guess I'm
Cleveland?
done. Am I done?
You are done, thank you.
Okay, $2,000. That's
Esposito?
all I want. Okay, thank you.
Name and community you live in, please.
Jennifer Esposito, 3211 East Snavely Avenue, Kingman. First, I wanted to say that I wanted to correct something or get some information, possibly. At the last meeting, Supervisor Johnson said that there were 2 cases ongoing against the Golden Valley Improvement District. So I can only take from that KP Ventures has filed a appeal to the Arizona Supreme Court. But I would like to point out for the record that that case is not against GVID. It is against the county procurement for failing to pay invoices that were due, and for screwing up their due process, and for making them sign a contract where their due process appeal rights were not in alignment with state statute. After that happened, you guys had to go back and actually fix your procedures and policy manual for county procurement because you screwed them. You should have paid them. Just like Mr. DeShazer, you should pay him too. I don't know if you people actually read the litigation. I'm looking forward to Mr. Esplin's response to my opening brief in the First Circuit Court regarding our constitutional right of initiative and referendum on the Golden Valley water rates. But moving on, I finally have my phone to where I can show you the picture I wanted to show you last month. The pictures, actually. So I'm going to put this up here, and then I'm going to read from this fine fellow. This is Supervisor Bishop's appointee to the Planning and Zoning Board, Mr. Cullen Patillo, the guy whose Facebook profile has the anarchy sign on his forehead. Over the summer, he got let back into Facebook, and he put up some rather enlightening posts. You know, so we talk a lot about decorum and the way that our board members behave, or the way that candidates behave on and off of professional stuff. Here's a lovely post where he attacked school board candidate Danielle Olikek. And here's one where he attacks Kelly Ward. I'd like to read that for you, just so that you know the kind of person that you have who is also representing Golden Valley and this area on the general plan. Mr. Cullen Patillo says on May 21st, apparently the chemtrail sprayers wanted to show solidarity with Chemtrail Kelly due to her recent indictments on multiple felonies in her attempt to become the official presidential cocksucker for Trump's second term in 2020, hashtag Kelly Ward. The things that he said about Ms. Cack and myself were, you know, in a similar vein. I don't have, I'm running out of time, I can't. But what I'm trying to say is I hope that whoever takes over Supervisor Bishop's seat finds someone who's more mature and who handles themselves in a more professional manner. And I don't think he belongs on the General Plan Committee. Thank you.
Roy Hagerman, followed by Scotty McClure.
Good morning, Supervisors. Pastor Roy Hagemeyer from currently beautiful Mojave Valley. Earlier this year, EPCO and an MEC teamed up trying to rezone a parcel of land in Fort Mojave to build 2 peaker plants on 19 acres. But due to public outcry, many meetings, and lots of protests, the location was abandoned, or so we believe. They then, in April, attempted another one. They're starting to rezone on a large parcel of 80 acres in Mojave Valley, near homes, very near my home. And now they're adding an additional 193.5 acres to build, who knows what, 40 peaker plants, in addition to proposed battery storage. And we know how safe lithium batteries are these days, burning up all over America. And my question is, where's the county in all of this? Well, I can tell you where one of them is. the prior chairman of this board of the Mojave County Supervisors is all in with EPCO and MEC. In my opinion, we have a big problem with our prior chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Hildy Angus. To date, EPCO's rezone application vote at the BOS has been moved 3 times, and it would appear all 3 times it was done illegally, ignoring the board's own rules. According to the board's rules, it says the chairman may continue or withdraw any item with consensus of the membership without a vote. Well, in checking on this, the past postponement, this last one, the chair conferred with one other supervisor. The other 3 had no conversation, and that is a violation of the board's rules. In contacting one supervisor, I was told that it was a violation of the open meeting law. Well, the open meeting law says, according to ARS 38-431, the means of gathering in person or through technological devices, a quorum of members, and that would be 3 of a public body which would discuss, propose, or take legal action. Calling one other supervisor on the phone to get consensus is not a violation of the open meeting law. The board's rules were broken to help EPCO and MEC get this rezone in Mojave Valley. It's become obvious to me that EPCO and MEC are being given special treatment by the prior Board of Supervisors. We are in contact with the Attorney General's office to get legal enforcement. A few more points. Peaker plants are highly polluters, according to the Government Accountability Report of May of 2024. Sound levels far exceed EPCO's statements. Scare tactics are being used by MEC that hospitals will be without power. Well, according to OSHA, that is illegal. They have to have backup power. According to ARS 11-251, it states in item 52 that the County Board of Supervisors make and enforce ordinances are more restrictive than state requirements to reduce or encourage the reduction of carbon monoxide and ozone levels. Water is a huge issue here. We are deeply concerned that they will suck our aquifer dry, and those of us that have wells in the general area will be without water. This plan is dangerous and irresponsible, and I ask you to vote no.
Scotty McClure.
Fell asleep, I think. Scotty from Bullhead. Pastor Roy, I'll see you Saturday. We're going for pizza. Pastor Roy, I turned that letter into Ryan Espelin's office trying to get it to the grand jury, and I haven't heard a damn thing about it. So whatever, I tried. That came from the Arizona Republic Open Records request, that letter that we're talking about. Wasn't me, wasn't anybody else. It was a place down there in Phoenix. They asked for it, and I got it, and that's when Hildy made that sorry excuse when she commented about it, when I commented about it. Ron, would you please poll number 58? You yacked about this free trade zone before. This has got to stop. Who's next? The dog pound? Oh, we already did that one. It's just getting silly. You got enough crap on here today. And I hate doing this to Hildy because she's not here face to face. But what she did to Valerie and Judge Williams here last time when she held that thing there, and Buster and Jean went against 3. It was 3-2. Ron and Travis stuck up for Valerie, Ron's secretary, and my campaign manager. So Hildy used this as a political event to get back at me because I've called her a few names, her and Jeannie Kinch and the rest of the clowns in Bullhead, like the mayor and Ron, Pamela Smith and Robert DeWeed and whatever. She's used this as a political game. Now what I'm asking you 3, she's not here. I'm asking Buster. I know you're mad at Sam there and the finance department and stuff, and you've got 28 years in. You should be mad at somebody by then. But I'm asking, and Gene, I know you don't like Ron, whatever. I'm assuming things here. I'm asking one of you 2 to please bring this back and put it on the agenda. It may be too late because she's lawyered up with Phoenix lawyers. I don't know, even if you bring it back and try to settle with her. Just like Chuck. He's on 87 today. He did not ask for any money. He asked for conditions, and you guys shot him down. So now he's hired Scottsdale lawyers, and I just talked to him Saturday. It's not secondhand information. Oh, before I only got 20 seconds. I got my tax bill. Remember 5 years ago when you charged me 10 cents? Well, this time you charged me 8 cents. I paid 7 cents this morning. I'm going to pay the other penny. Yeah, look at this thing here. The fire department gets 50%. You guys only get a penny.
Philip Robinson, you're up next, followed by Chris Ridardi.
Morning, y'all. Philip Robinson. For once, I'm not going to be up here complaining. Well, it is a complaint. But we need to do something out in Golden Valley, and it's called protection. I'd love for you guys to get a hold of the sheriff. You could hire 2 deputies just to write tickets. They are running stop lights or stop signs. They are speeding drastically. I'm doing deliveries for El Cafe for John and Francine. I get stopped or passed from people speeding on Chino. I'm driving 35. They're zooming by me. You could get 2 officers out there for 10-hour days. 7 days a week, or not 7 days a week, 4 days. Put them on 4 days, give them 3 days to get away from Golden Valley. You know, it'd be easy. He could make money. He could profit just off of Golden Valley. It's getting insane out there. Chino is a death row now. They are running stop signs, speeding, head-ons, T-bones. You go down, every stop sign in Golden Valley has a cross. It's a death zone. We got to stop this. Thank you.
Chris Ridardi, followed by Armin String.
Chris Ridardi, Mojave County taxpayer. Today, we are living in an alternate universe, so I will spare you the misery of my rhetoric in exchange for the eloquence of someone instrumental in our founding. See if you recognize him or see yourselves in any of these prophetic passages. When tyranny becomes law, rebellion becomes duty. The issue today is the same as it has been throughout all history. Whether man shall be allowed to govern himself or be ruled by a small elite. When the people are afraid of the government, that's tyranny. But when the government is afraid of the people, that's liberty. I think myself that we have more machinery of government than is necessary. Too many parasites living on the labor of the industrious. Government, big enough to supply everything you need, is big enough to take everything you have. The course of history shows that as a government grows, liberty decreases. The 2 enemies of the people are criminals and government. So let us tie the second down with the chains of the Constitution so the second will not become the legalized version of the first. There is no justification for taking away individuals' freedom in the guise of public safety. A true patriot will defend his country from its government. When once a republic is corrupted, there is no possibility of remedying any of the growing evils but by removing the corruption and restoring its lost principles. Every other correction is either useless or a new evil. When you abandon freedom to achieve security, you lose both, you deserve neither. The defeat of the American Revolution will occur when government falls into the hands of lending institutions and moneyed corporations. Evil triumphs when good men do nothing. A private central bank issuing the public currency is a greater menace to the liberties of the people than a standing army. We must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. See ARPA. Democracy is 51% of the people taking away the rights of the other 49. The government you elect is the government you deserve. These wise words spoken by Thomas Jefferson are as relevant and significant today as they were nearly 250 years ago. Heed these warnings. We are about to lose our country, and we are teetering on the brink of nuclear war. Have a nice day.
Armstrong.
Armstrong of Fort Mojave, aka the German. I have nice things here. This is from our road. The school bus speeding down the road, dust cloud behind them. Since the road department fixed Dunlop, we have more and more traffic going up and down the road. It's ridiculous. We have semis going up and down the road 5 o'clock in the morning. Why? And look at this. This is outrageous. The road department needs to do something with Cavalry Road. Otherwise, I have to go to OSHA and complain about dust. And that's a health issue. So that's just some of it. And then I have here an email from a code enforcement officer. Very interesting. He inspected a property, told the property owner, all what is needed is a view obstructing fence and nicer neighbors. Totally unacceptable. I think he needs to look for a new job or completely retire. We all know who we're talking about. He's out on leave right now. And then the third thing is the Messner property, the Roseberry property, the Alvarado property. They're all dragging more and more crap in again, and they all just got abated. What's going on here? There's something seriously wrong with the system. We don't go after people for just fun. We want the neighborhood clean. And since we're at that point, I would like to ask the county manager and the county attorney for a meeting in our neighborhood in District 5. And I really would appreciate it if we get that set up. And it's not only me who wants to meet, it's my neighbors as well. We have a few neighbors that are really annoyed with all the stuff that is going on. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask the fellow board members if anyone would like to respond to criticism, ask for things to be reviewed, or put on a future agenda. Seeing none, we'll go on to proclamations. First proclamation will be declaring the month of October 2024 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Mojave County. I'll entertain a motion to approve the proclamation or have it read if anybody so desires.
So moved.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion does pass. Our next proclamation is available to be read. It's declaring the month of October 2024 as Cybersecurity Month in Mojave County.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll now begin the consent agenda. Any of the board members that would like an item removed, please indicate, starting with Supervisor Johnson.
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Supervisor Gold.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Number 18 and number 58.
Supervisor Lingenfelter,
Item number 28, please.
28.
28.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda minus items 18, 28, and 58.
So moved. Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, those items do pass. And item number 18, this was pulled by Supervisor Gold.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I need to declare a conflict on item 18. My wife was the real estate agent for the people that are applying for the rezone.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. Item number 28, pulled by Supervisor Lingenfelter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm wondering if Director Smith is on the line or in the audience, if you could discuss what this is.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Bishop, Supervisor Lincoln-Felter, Board of Supervisors. Item 28, this is for what we have in the community services for our Fresh Start. It's for the CLC, Continuum of Care. So this is where all the local charities come together to address homelessness. We received this grant last year. Was the first time we received continuance for this grant. I'll highlight a couple different things from this grant that came of it. Besides the collaboration among the community, we'll take Kingman for start. On October 11th, 2023, 191 community members came to Metcalf Park. They enrolled within our electronic community referral system, which is Atlas. From there, they received opportunities to apply for employment. We then, after that event, we also had another event which was located in Bullhead City, which was on April 3rd of 2024. 190 community members were assisted, 105 people registered for jobs. So we had an opportunity to provide that. And then we've also followed up with additional text messages to those individuals to make sure that they were receiving the services that they needed to be able to work in Mojave County, as well as we, like I said, we worked with the other local non-for-profits really to pull this off. This was not a Mojave County Community Services Department initiative. This was a CLC, so Continuum of Care, and there's over 100 different agencies that participate in the Continuum of Care.
Thank you, Director Smith. So the name of the grant is Building Capacity. It doesn't actually have anything to do with building capacity. Is that accurate?
Supervisor Bishop, I'm sorry, Madam Chair Bishop, Supervisor Lincoln-Felter. So this does have to do with capacity building. So the CLC actually works through those local community members to do this. So when I mentioned this, that this was initiative through the CLC, there was I don't have the exact number, but I can tell you there was well over 24 different agencies that were represented at the events across the county to build that. So the agency, the CLC, really worked through to build that capacity to make sure those things were happening, as well as to help with the referral process and navigation of individuals within the system.
Thank you for the information, Director Smith. I'd make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve is seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item is 58, pulled by Supervisor Gold.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Here we are again. The board has already voted to support the foreign trade zone. We're going back through our other board positions that are taxing authorities to get them also to approve the foreign trade zone. The problem is those folks are us. We've already voted, other than me, to approve the foreign trade zone. And we haven't asked the people on the library advisory board what they think about the foreign trade zone. Really, giving Tammy 4 more letters to shop around, I think is rather pointless. But I'll just go ahead and move denial.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor. We do have one person that signed up to speak, Mr. Scotty McClure.
Scotty from Bullhead. Now, this is why people out here, well, what the heck is going on here? It was voted on a month ago, and to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry, you got 58 little offices here that you guys run, are in charge of, or something like 85 or whatever it is. They all going to write letters for this? This is what's wrong with the government. As far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't be any more. Just keep this off the agenda. You already voted once on it.
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Lincoln-Felter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Is Director Ursenbach? I see her in the back. Maybe she can come down and explain this. Give us an overview, Tammy.
Hey, Chairman Bishop, Supervisors. And unfortunately, last time that we did this 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, the library was left off the agenda. So we're just bringing this back. The idea is, unfortunately, every taxing entity has to show a support or the FTC cannot move forward. So it's just going through the normal process. We've been to fire departments, we've been to school district, to the college, we've been everywhere we can. This is one of the last letters we're waiting on.
And again, in your view as Economic Development Director, this is something that we're pursuing in support of increased regional competitiveness for Mojave County.
It is, specifically, if we don't, by having the foreign trade zone, we become more competitive nationally with the other businesses, but also competitive within international businesses. International businesses, their prices are so low that if we don't do this, we're losing business in the United States. So we're wanting to be able to support our local businesses nationally as well as in our county. And this is a way to support them, a tool that we don't have otherwise. And many of the counties and states don't have otherwise. So there's only active, there's just around 200 active foreign trade zones currently.
And this is another tool that Mojave County Economic Development Director, yourself and your department can use to market towards which target industries, manufacturing, distribution, warehousing, those types of things.
Specifically, manufacturing is the one that gets the most benefit of it. So that's the one that we're hoping and focusing on specifically, for everyone.
That, when President Trump gets back into office, he's going to be pushing to reshore manufacturing as he did the first time. I know I watched a video recently where he just basically told John Deere in no uncertain terms that if they moved their manufacturing to Mexico, they were going to get, huge tariffs.
And that's right. And exactly, we want to be able to bring more manufacturing here to our county. Doors are open. We're in the perfect location for growth.
Close to California that, this would be something that you think would help us to help those companies that are leaving in mass exodus from California and their horrible management and policy.
Exactly. The other thing is, I know there's a lot of concerns about growth in areas that some of the county doesn't want, but that's why we have these 4 magnet sites, so that those 4 magnet sites are going to attract the businesses to that area specifically, and not just leave it open. But we're trying to be very strategic in how that we move forward to help build the county, at the same time not have a manufacturing company or a distribution center or anything else just happen anywhere.
Yeah, well, I think that's a good strategy. I mean, certainly we have a board, I don't think, that is interested in raising property taxes, and the remedy for that is you have to broaden your tax base, right? And you get as many companies as you can, as more jobs as you can, and that allows a taxing agency to lower its primary property taxes. That's the way I see it.
And the 4 magnet sites, none of them are around a lot of residents. They're all very, very isolated with the areas that we've chosen.
Appreciate your information and what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman.
Supervisor Gold.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So Tammy, the school boards and the fire districts also have to approve this
As they have.
in those 4 spots. And
The only ones I'm waiting on are up in
let
Colorado
me tell you
City.
what my big problem is. Nowhere in the original backup did it say that property taxes inside the free trade zone were going to be reduced to 5%. Nowhere in the backup did it say that. I had to pry that out of you. That's concerning to me.
And I apologize for that.
That's very concerning to me. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to deny. Do we have a second? Okay, motion dies on the floor. Do we have another motion?
A motion to approve, Madam Chair?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any opposed?
No.
Okay, motion does pass. Okay, next item is under public hearings. I'm going to open the public hearing. So we had discussion, possible action, reference the adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution number 2024-200, a special use permit for a telecommunications tower in Lake Havasu City vicinity. Okay, we do have a couple people signed up to speak. Linda Greets is the applicant and has signed up to speak. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Chair, Supervisors. And on behalf of the applicant, I would like to say this application is on behalf of Verizon Wireless. The location that they've chosen is at the intersection because it fits their network. This is the location that best fits their network. It's on a commercial piece. There's only 2 commercial properties at that intersection. This is the only one that the landlord was willing to work with us on. It's placed as far away from residential properties as possible, and it meets the criteria as set by the code. Thank you.
Just for the record, could you give us your name and city, please?
I'm so sorry. Linda Grice with Young Design, 10245 East Via Linda, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Thank you very much. Does Carol Rodriguez would be the next speaker?
So I live in Lake Havasu City, and I live in Canterbury Estates, which is the residential community that's adjacent to the storage lot unit that they want to build the superstructure, 110-foot
Your name?
cell tower. Carol Rodriguez. And the reason that I'm here today is because representing the neighbors that are within the 300-foot proximity to this cell tower. We believe that there is a cell tower. There's a cell tower that is 0.66 miles down the road on London Bridge Road that could accommodate Verizon's need. And that's in accordance with, I went into the Mojave County Zoning Ordinance, Section 37R, the wireless communication, states that it should maximize existing facilities on page 163. And in the general provision on page 164, it says commercial communication towers should be located away from residential properties. The location of this, the corner of London Bridge Road and Chenoweth, is, I believe, zoned for residential, future residential. Right now, it's a lot of open space, but it's future residential. Okay, sorry, I'm so nervous. And then again, according to Mojave County Zoning Ordinance, page 166B, existing structures will be preferred over new structures. Page 167, C 2, 3, and 5 talk about vehicle routes. And these cell towers are supposed to be away from landmarks or historical sites. This tower is going to be built right on the corner of the Arizona Freedom Trail, and it's also the connector on London Bridge Road to the London Bridge. So this is how we get there. So we encourage a co-location of the cell tower that's existing. I have a picture. I don't know how to use I have a picture of the cell tower, and it is on a, do I show you somehow on here?
There's a little square right on the podium there. Just set it up
here.
there. There you go.
Okay. There we go. So you can see that it's not around any residential homes. It's located adjacent to another storage unit. There's a lot of open space out there that doesn't impact the residents.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. And we submitted with health. There's a lot of other reasons besides the zoning.
Time is up. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Thank you.
Mitchell and Tallis. I'll let you pronounce your name. You could probably do a better job.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning. My name is Mitchell Antalis. I'm an attorney in Phoenix. I am here today representing the owners of the existing cell tower that Ms. Rodriguez just mentioned. That tower is located at 4622 London Bridge Road in Lake Havasu City, and as mentioned, it is 0.66 miles away from the proposed location. The bottom line is the new proposed location doesn't provide any benefit to the residents of the county because it's completely superfluous. I've attached, we submit a letter. I hope you all have that in front of you. If not, everything is laid out in there, but I'm going to go through the primary concerns because I understand time is short. So we've submitted a letter from the manager of the SBA Structures LLC, which owns the existing tower, and he has attested that that tower has ample structural capacity to accommodate any wireless carrier interested, including Verizon. However, Verizon has made no attempts to reach out about co-locating on the existing tower. Second, we've attached as Exhibit 2 to that letter a series of RF coverage maps, that's radio frequency coverage maps, showing that the new proposed location offers absolutely or virtually the same coverage as the existing tower, and so it will not improve coverage for anyone in the area. And at the end of the day, Mojave County has set up very specific guidelines under Section 37 of the zoning ordinance, and those are to maximize the use of existing facilities, to encourage the co-location of facilities, and to reduce the number of new communication towers. The new proposed tower doesn't meet any of the criteria. Specifically, communication towers should be located away from residential properties. That is not the case here. The zoning ordinance suggests that favorable weight should be given by this board to the following criteria. Existing structures will be preferred. Facilities are preferred if they are not readily observed from the adjacent street. Co-location is preferred. And the suitability of co-location, again, is a significant factor. The new proposed location does not meet any of these. In fact, they all weigh against it, and these are the supposedly heavily weighted criteria that the board is supposed to consider here. And then additionally, I just want to propose that the application is deficient. The application, per the zoning code, is supposed to include things such as coverage maps that show that there's a need here. And it's actually in the code that it's supposed to include a summary of any towers within 2 miles of the existing proposed location. The application did not meet those. It did not mention those. They're trying to sneak this in, and flatly, like, the board should deny this. There's no justification for it. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our speakers. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in regards to this item? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and open it up to the board.
Madam Chairman.
Supervisor Gould.
Motion to deny.
Second.
Motion to deny. It's been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes to deny. Okay, next item, 78. I'll open the public hearing. This will be a discussion in regards to resolution number 2024-201, a rezone of parcel number 30607-201 to allow for an RV park in the Golden Valley vicinity. I do have several people signed up to speak on this item, but before I do that, I'm wondering if it's appropriate for the board to continue this item before we have our speaker, since Supervisor Angus is not here.
My my preference would be to have the public hearing, and then if the board wishes to, they could continue it.
Then continue it after the speakers. Okay, I will open the public hearing then, and Twyla Donaldson will be our first speaker.
Chairman, if just to be clear, what I mean is allow the public hearing to take place, and then if the board wishes to continue it, they can. I don't want to say that you're going to. I'm just
no. That's what
okay.
I have. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Twyla Donaldson, and I'm a resident of Golden Valley. And I'm here to represent my fellow neighbors in this rezoning area with opposition to this. And I know I gave you a lot of paperwork today, but also just recently, they also gave me 72 more votes to go against this. Does it turn over? So that totally exceeds, we were already at 24% opposition, and now we're more at like 30 to 35 with the additional 72 that I'm presenting. I did a survey. There's 45 RV parks between Bullhead City and Kingman, and out of those, 8 of them are located directly in Golden Valley. One is only 2 blocks east of this location. The other one is 4 blocks west, and none of them are at capacity. This is a congested area. It has congestion as far as being able to turn left onto 68. And I would like you, as the supervisors, to take that into consideration, our neighbors and ability for this to not pass. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next up will be Philip Robinson, followed by Jennifer Esposito.
My name's Philip Robinson. I live out in Golden Valley. I oppose this. I'm speaking on behalf of John and Francine of El Cafe. We don't care if they put in 1 acre lots, but this RV park we're totally against, and I'd like to put this up on for the camera. I went down 68 from Aztec. The girl that was representing the people that own the property, she said that you can turn left off of, I was stopped here. Now I'm getting out off of Aztec going up 68. Can you put that up, please? She misrepresented herself and the applicant by stating that you can turn left. You can't turn left off the Hunt. There's only 2 legal ways to get back onto the freeway. Turn left or right. Going up here, you'll see the signs that say left only. The state's letting us turn around there and do a U-turn, but legally we cannot do that. We can't. She's saying that we can. Legally we can't. She's misrepresenting. The only two places that you can legally turn left or right on there is at Aztec and Bacovi. She says down on Hulk, I think it is, Houck, you can turn left. You can't, you can only go right. That's a total, I don't know what she's trying to represent, but that's totally wrong. We have enough wrecks out there. They're going to have to go all the way down to Chino to get to this property, because they're not going to want to put a road behind. That's just a utility road. It's not a county road. But anyway, that's all I got. Have you guys seen all of this? As you can see, where you can only turn left legally. But again, the state and the county is letting us do a U-turn on those left turn lanes only, which I think is cool. That saves me a lot of time by driving all the way up or doing a U-turn in somebody's yard or lot. But anyway, thank you.
Jennifer Esposito.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Jennifer Esposito, Kingman, property owner in Golden Valley. I took a day in the heat and I knocked about 20 doors in the immediate vicinity of this proposed rezone, because although it's not near my property, I was curious. I just wanted to know what the actual residents had to say. And although some of them did say, well, I don't know, I don't care, like whatever they want to do, the people that did have an actual strong opinion were all opposed to it. But my concern with this is, as previously stated, is the debacle of a median that Mr. Elters engineered for ADOT and we put down the middle of the highway. Because I have an RV. I have several, actually. Kind of like those things. You know, I come from Quartzsite, where everyone has an RV. And when I judged dog shows and I showed my dogs, I traveled in an RV all over this country. And so I know the difficulty it takes in navigating traffic obstacles with an oversized vehicle. On the Highway 68 right now, people trying to turn, get in, out, short-sized vehicles will pull to the center, even where they can get out. And then, you know, as traffic clears, they'll finish going all the way across to make their left-hand turn. You can't do that in an RV. It's way too long. Especially a truck towing a travel trailer, a fifth wheel. The problem just is the public safety issue for me. Because then what's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of these extended length vehicles, and they're going to be going up and down unpaved, unimproved, rural dirt roads in, you know, areas where dogs shouldn't be at large, but they are, and children running and playing and crossing the street. And you're going to bring in, because this is not a long-term park, this is proposed as a overnight stay park. So you're going to be bringing really long, big vehicles with no place to get in, no place to get out, trying to find a way in and out. I don't know if they're going to come in off of Agua Fria. I don't know if they're going to come the long way. I just see this, that's my main concern. So I'd be happy to get behind this, because I don't dislike RV parks or RV people in general. They're kind of my people. But blow up that median. Just, you know, have a little talk with ADOT. Get some letters together, you know, like the foreign trade zone, and make it so you can get in and out over there before you actually talk about going forward with putting what looks like a public safety hazard in. Since the median was put in, I don't think we've reduced any traffic accidents. What we have first responders having to go way down and make U-turns to come back the other way. You know, we have more accidents in other parts, maybe because people can't get in or out in certain areas. I don't think we've reduced any accidents in the valley, but I think this has the potential to increase accidents in the valley. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ms. Esposito, is there anyone in the audience here that signed the petition? Okay, anyone that signed the petition, do you want to come to the podium and speak? I believe you already spoke, Miss Twyla. Now, you've had your 3 minutes, I'm sorry. Okay, then I'll call Kathy Tackett Hicks to the podium. She is the applicant. Okay, we'll call you up after Ms. Hicks talks.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, Supervisors. My name is Kathy Tackett Hicks. I'm acting as the owner's applicant. I certainly don't have a problem postponing this to the next meeting, or maybe 2 meetings. I can have the owner come down. And I'm happy to hold an on-site meeting with some of the surrounding residents. I think there's a lot of confusion in this, and I think we also have a problem where people can present petitions that absolutely there's no desire to address solutions or options or discuss developmental issues, adjacent properties. Private property rights of the individual have to be respected as well. So I see this as, kind of a bummer, but we see it all the time, and I do want to address it. I'm happy to do it. If we can postpone it 30 days, to the next meeting, I'm happy to hold a hearing out there and come back with a report. I will tell you that there are a lot of untruths. One gentleman talked about the left turn. He's correct. I made that statement, but further on the conversation, I said, wait, that was an error. I meant they can come out, or they can go from 68 onto there. So that was an error. But everything else is a little crazy. This site is absolutely a good site for development of this type. It has existing infrastructure. The water is served by Valley Pioneer Water and is adjacent to the site. There's adjacent power poles to the site. Because it's limited to 28 or 29 RVs, that's it. This is not a big deal. This is an attempt for someone to come and invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in a small commercial venture, which will increase property taxes to the fire district. It is within the fire district as well. It can get a septic wastewater permit and use the smallest one that we need, so there's not as much nitrates going in. The property is 4.3 acres. It already has a commercial designation for the general plan. And if you're the private property owner and you want to do something in development for commercial, you have every right to be able to rely on that to some degree, that this is precisely what the county wants. Now, things change. I'll come up next time with a reason why, it needs to be changed on a different project. I understand that. But I am concerned about the lack of trying to get to answers and solutions for this. Petitions for people miles away, I'm sorry. That is not to be brought in the public participation process. Those are opinions which are fine, but they don't address the private property rights of the individual who has it, who's proposing to invest in this area. And I want to delve into those issues a little bit more. I send letters around to 300-foot surrounding property owners. On that letter is my name, my cell number, my address. The county also puts in a piece of paper that says, if you have any questions, contact me. May I please have 1 more minute? I don't have to.
I'll call you back up.
That's fine,
Kathy.
Thank you.
The gentleman that wanted to speak now, please give us your name and your location.
Morning. Name's Anthony Knapp. I live on the corner of Houck and Matazel. That's going to be in my front yard. I am one of the owners over there. I have enough trash. I have enough dirt. I have enough burnt home next to me that I have to look at. I'm an RVer. I've been an RVer for the last 6 years. I've been around the country. I've seen the good. I've seen the bad. It's all in how their management. I talked to this lady on the phone, Kathy. I don't know who's going to run it. He's going to have to pick somebody. It's not a good enough answer. The trash, the transient, the dirt. We don't want it. We don't need it. We like the opportunity, but it needs to go some other place. That is for agriculture. That is not for an RV park. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. And with that, I'll close the public hearing. Kathy, would you like to come back up and answer a few questions, please?
Kathy Tackett Hicks again. I'm happy to answer questions. I think that there's, confusion on what agricultural residential is. This could be split into 4 residential lots with the same type of vehicle traffic. On commercial properties, at least you have oversight of the county of what development goes in there. To the gentleman I spoke with on the phone, and I was thrilled they actually called me. Thrilled. Because even though I give it out, that was the only phone call I had with Tony and Jenny. I assume that's who this is. So commercial development is the only ability for the county to have oversight on it. And what I said concerning the on-site manager is that the owner did not have an on-site manager right now, but he has 3 other manufactured home parks where he does have on-site management. They have contracts to ensure that animals that people have are small, no more than 20 pounds, that there are cleanliness issues, that the goal was not to have some sort of a flop house, RV center, but that the fact is, since COVID, there have been a lot of people that are now taking up RV living. And his goal was to have long-term tenants, not short-term. That was the goal. And he's proven that by his manufactured housing parks. That's what he does. Now, I'm perfectly comfortable with people not agreeing with, the vision. It's fine. But I do think that a lot of people signed a petition under half-truths, and I think that's unfortunate. But I see it, I've seen it numerous times out there. So I just want to find solutions that work for everyone. So if you can please schedule another time for this to be heard, I can see if the owner can be here. I'll be happy to notify the 300-foot surrounding property owners, notice of record, that I'll hold an on-site meeting to walk through some of these issues, so at least they have an opportunity to ask me questions I can answer. And lastly, of the petition, the first one from last week that had, 20 signatures on it, 4 of the signatures are not the owners of record. Okay, this is part of the problem. The accusations that letters were not sent out is inappropriate. Commercial sites out there can rent. And even if they've been out there 10 years, if they don't own the property, they're not going to get a letter. The same with the residential, surrounding property owners. So I don't think this is a bad project. I think it's actually an awesome project in a great location. So it meets the county requirements. The owner is willing to invest. If we have a problem with surrounding property owners, not people that are 10 miles away, that vision does not get to be a burden on a property owner that wants to invest. I just think that balance needs to be looked at a little bit closer. I've been doing this 30 years. I'm happy. I love the public participation process, but I do want it to be designed to address solutions to problems, not I show up this morning and there's a big petition without one phone call. That's shady.
Hey, Kathy, you mentioned that the owner was...
That's what I said, shady.
You mentioned that the owner was looking at long-term tenants.
Yeah.
In your opinion, would that help with the affordable housing problem that we have in Mojave County?
Well, I think what it does is offer more diversity of housing options for individuals. Some people, through COVID and other things without their job, have lost their home or chose to get out of the home and travel, and they need a place to call home. So it's just another option. I don't think it's nirvana, it's nothing great, but it is an option. And seniors, there have been huge increases in RVers in the past 4 years. So it's just an option.
Okay, thank you. The board members have any questions of the applicant?
Madam Chair, I'd make a motion to continue this to the next meeting till we have a full board.
Second. Madam Chair, I'd have just a couple more questions if I may.
Okay. Supervisor Lingenfeld, go ahead.
First question is for Ms. Tackett-Hicks. Did you mention that the applicant has 3 more parks in this region or
Not in this
other-
region.
Other
Not-
places in Arizona or
No, outside of the state.
outside of the state? How do you know how long he's operated those? And kind of what the point I'm trying to get to is, has he had any complaints at those facilities? What I'm trying to do is trying to establish a record in my mind about how responsible of an owner he is with his other parks,
Okay.
or whether or not it creates a nuisance for the surrounding property owners in these other areas.
Right. Good question. I did the same thing. I asked him. He has one over 30 years, and he's had generational families living there because they work. He also indicated he has the benefit and blessing of having a really good on-site managers that stay there for a long time, like 20 years. So he's got that consistency. So I wasn't trying to blow smoke up anybody by saying he wasn't sure. It's a new area. You got to find the right person for your on-site manager. But I do believe that one manufacturing's been over 30 years.
Thanks. With these issues, we have to fully weigh both sides. And I think that the transportation mobility stuff that's come up is valid, but I don't expect your applicant to be responsible for what ADOT does. I mean, I think those concrete medians that went down 68 kind of inconvenienced a lot of different people. And I don't remember a whole lot of public process on that. Maybe I just missed it. But regard to the site planning process, what type of things are the applicant willing to do to make sure that it's a nice looking place, shielded from noise or landscaping or those types of things to maintain property value?
Right. So he's already had an engineer on the property looking at stuff. We already have a site plan. Based on the first round of opposition, we looked at different ways to move it. I mean, he's even got, site plans from a local engineer, maybe moving the RVs closer to the commercial areas to keep it away for a 100-foot buffer to the north on Matzatzel. Those types of things. Access can be either Hauk or Hunt on this particular thing. It has to go through the county process. The engineer, completed a traffic preliminary review, and it indicated that the peak traffic vehicle trips for this in the morning would be about 6 vehicle trips. In the afternoon on the trip generation for the peak hour could be up to 11. That is not going to adversely impact the left turn issue. Will redirect someone who they are going to have to turn right to come around to get back to Kingman.
Thank you.
So does every other business.
Yeah, I look forward to continued conversation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we do have a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor to continue this to the next board meeting when we have a full board indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Thank you.
opposed? Okay. This will be continued for the next board meeting. Item number 79. I'll open the public hearing in regards to Board of Supervisors Resolution number 2024-202, a rezone to bring a property into compliance in the Dolan Springs vicinity. I have no one signed up to speak, so I'll close the public hearing and open it up to the board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we'll now go into the regular agenda. Item number 80. This will be a discussion of possible action. Approve the... I'm sorry, let's... Conversation going on the side. I'll wait a second before I continue. Okay, this will be a resolution for the purchase of permitting software on behalf of Development Services Planning and Zoning. Scott Poultry is our Development Services Director. Can you tell us what this one is about?
Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for this opportunity. On August 5th, 2024, The board directed staff to take a look at our permitting software to find a more cost-effective solution. With that, staff went and looked at a few different options with the following three goals in mind. One, it obviously needed to be more cost-effective than what we currently have. Two, that it's something that is user-friendly for our employees, that's easily accessible and can be easily trained on. And three, that it's easily accessible for the general public, that they can be able to use it and not have any issues. And it also provides all of their needs and wants. One of the things that we did do was we looked at a few different jurisdictions. One was the Coconino County, that's very similar to Mojave County and what kind of software they're using. The other one was the City of Kingman. The City of Kingman went through a RFQ process right now to look for new software. They looked at several different software solutions and ultimately landed on the Granicus SmartGov solution. That's the same solution that Coconino County is using. We went through several different presentations with SmartGov, found it to be very user-friendly and meeting, if not exceeding, all of the wants and needs for Mojave County. Just to kind of go over some of the highlights. First, the cost. I do have a slide presentation if possible. Just looking at Excella itself, right now we're paying about $320,000 per year with a 5% increase each year. With that, we're also paying for about $30,000 for our CityGov app, which allows the inspectors to schedule, the contractors to schedule inspections, but also for our inspectors to work in the field. We're also paying another $40,000 a year for our IVR system, which allows inspectors to call in and schedule inspections through an automated system. The SmartGov solution price would be $57,000 per year with a 5% increase. All of the working in the field and scheduling inspection services are included with that. When we calculated it out, it would approximately be about $1.8 million over the next 5 years in cost savings. Looking at the use with Excella, online permitting requires a lot of configuration. One thing that we learned going through this process is Excella is a good program, and that's maybe why it's really expensive. You can almost do anything with it, but it requires you to configure it. And it takes a lot of time. A lot of times it takes consultants, and you have to know exactly what you're looking for. That also requires that inspection scheduling by a third-party vendor, and then we're limited on the amount of accounts that we can have with Excella. Looking at the SmartGov solution, it's an off-the-shelf permitting software, so it's developed specifically for permitting, and it already has all of the things that it's gone through the process with several different jurisdictions, and it's already has all of the bells and whistles that we're looking for in a permitting software, especially with online permitting. So it's already configured that way. One thing that we really liked about the SmartGov solution was that it has automatic notifications. So it's automatically going to tell customers when the permit's ready, when they have corrections, when they need to schedule inspections. So it's very automated. It includes that inspection scheduling online. All the customers are able to go right online and schedule those inspections. And then we have unlimited user accounts. So it's not, our fee's not based off of how many licenses we need. We have unlimited on that. With that, we are very excited for this solution. It's going to save the county quite a bit of money, but also I believe it is going to help streamline the process with our permitting software. and help improve the customer experience as well. With that, I'm open to any questions that the board may have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Holtry. Any questions?
Madam Chairman.
Supervisor Gold.
Madam Chairman, Director Holtry, we can get out of our with Excella contract.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Gold, we looked into the contract. Looks like we're able to terminate at the end of our cycle, which is, I think it's on a yearly cycle. We have a 7-year contract, but it's the end of the cycle is, I believe, at the end of the fiscal year, which is in July. We've looked through the contract and believe we're able to get out of that. We're gonna, before we officially sign or send anything over to Granicus, we're gonna double check with Excel to make sure that we can get out of it as well. Looks like Tara might have a little bit more information about that as well.
Tara, care to share?
Good morning, Chairman and Supervisor Gould. So we have looked at the contract, and although the overall term of the contract says that we can only terminate with cause, there is information in there regarding subscriptions. We did agree to a 7-year agreement, locking in the pricing for 7 years. You are correct. The current subscription ends June 30th of 2025. So our intent is, if the board approves this purchase, is to notify Acela that we intend not to renew for the remaining subscription terms. We will work with them to close everything out so that we make sure we're not in any kind of breach of contract. Once we've confirmed all of that, then we would move forward with the Granicus purchase.
Thank you, ma'am.
Madam Chair.
Supervisor Lingenfelter.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say great work to you and your staff, to Nathan McDaniel, our IT director, to Tara in procurement and her staff. We've been talking about online plan submittal and review now for over a year, and now it's fully functional. That's good for Mojave County. It makes sure that the development process is streamlined, that we get these projects built and on the tax rolls in a timely manner, times money for developers and people that are investing capital into the county. But this is phenomenal. This is just one software. Over a 5-year period, we're going to be saving the taxpayers of Mojave County an estimated $1.8 million. And this is in a time when the county's general fund is facing structural imbalance. So there's another item that's later on the agenda that has to do with software, but I want to say great job. And this is what, if you have to have government, this is the type of thing that you want to see. So thank you.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I just wanted to echo Supervisor Lingenfelter's praise. They did a good job. They were tasked with we tasked them with doing something. They went out and did it. Good job, Scott. Good job, Sarah. Good job, crew.
Okay, I'll echo your echo. Good job, everybody. All right. We did do the vote, right?
Yes.
Okay. Going on to item number 81. It's brought to us by Ken Cunningham, our HR director. This would be to approve the exceptions to the general fund hiring freeze.
To approve.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Item number 82 is a discussion to approve the proposed language changes to personnel policies and procedures, section 6.1, correcting errors and removing private aircraft from the covered travel reimbursement. I do have one person signed up to speak. Jesse Roble. I'm sorry, 2 people. I'd be followed by Scotty McClure.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Supervisors. My name is Jesse Roybal. I reside at 2500 North Summerson Road, and I've been a resident of this county since 2002, and I'm currently a division supervisor with the county. I'm here today to speak in opposition to this policy revision, which proposes to eliminate the use of personal aircraft for business travel. The proposal appears to be an overreaction to concerns that may arise from either a lack of knowledge about aviation or a misunderstanding of FAA regulations, and I believe it could be and unintended negative consequences to the county. First, I am confident that I am the reason this agenda item is being brought before the board. This issue began when I submitted a request to HR on July 29th to use my personal aircraft to fly to Las Vegas for a training seminar. I followed policy and completed all the necessary paperwork, but I was later told by my director that risk management didn't have enough time to process my request, and I was required to drive instead. As a result, a trip that could have been completed in 35 to 40 minutes each way ended up taking me 8 hours of driving, 2 days. Recently, I was asked to assist in a project that required travel to through St. George, Utah. Due to the limitations placed on me, I drove over 7 hours for a round trip that could have been covered in 1 hour each way. Recently, I was asked to, I already did that part, so excuse me. Let me emphasize that flying a personal aircraft is not a luxury, but a tool that offers flexibility, efficiency, and safety. For trips to locations like Phoenix, a personal aircraft could eliminate hotel and meal costs. Driving, on the other hand, possesses its own risks, like driving fatigue. The current policy already outlines strict guidelines for using personal aircraft on county business, including certification requirements, medical certifications, and insurance requirements. I have complied with all of these requirements just as other pilots would. The existing policy is in line with most public and private entities, including the state of Arizona and my previous employer. The main reason stated for me for this change would be the liability if something happens. Well, that's exactly what insurance is for and why I carried $1 million in coverage, which is exactly what's outlined in the policy. I've even offered to add the county as additionally insured on my aircraft policy to alleviate these liability concerns. I already have the city of Kingman additionally insured because I have an aircraft hangar at the Kingman Airport. In conclusion, I urge the board to consider the full impact of removing the use of personal aircraft for business travel. It is not just about me, it's about a broader implications for efficiency, cost savings, and safety. I am more than willing to work with anyone to address any concerns, but a blanket restriction would be a disservice to the county and its employees. I'd also like to recognize the numerous private pilots aiding in the Hurricane Helene relief efforts. I'll be open to any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Thank you. Scotty McClure.
Scotty from Bullhead. Well, after hearing his thing here, I've kind of changed my mind on this. I didn't know if we ever had private aircraft try to bill us before. Really doesn't matter, like he says, they're down there in Hurricane Katrina and what's happening now. Hopefully we're able to get some private people bringing in supplies and stuff. So maybe if you can work something out with the insurance or whatever. This was put on the agenda because of number 83, I think, what happened to Valerie and Judge Williams. You're trying to correct a bunch of policies, and I'm kind of for this one. Didn't we have a person that was running for Senate using her airplane to run for, and of course she lost. She used to be a pilot, a jet fighter pilot. There should be certain, you remove this, then you're not going to have a plan for Colorado City or something that happens. I don't know. That's just, I've changed my mind on this.
We have a representative from HR.
Good morning. I'm actually going to refer back to Director Dorner, as he's the one who brought this up to our attention, so I'm going to let him speak on this.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Supervisors. I was the initiator on this, and I'll give you a little bit of background on it. We received a request to be able for reimbursement, travel reimbursement involving aircraft, and is Jesse's, and I hope I don't butcher your name, but Roybal has stated he was the one that submitted that in. Review of it caught my eye. as it was going in, and the actual form goes in, and it requires a signature and approval at the department director level, and then also by the finance director. And as I went through there, that request is actually a request for authorization to use private and rental aircraft for county business. And so while it is under that policy, that is the form that is referred to from that standpoint. The reason that it caught my eye was because I was aware of an exclusion, a general exclusion that's written in through our ASIP insurance policy, which excludes any coverage for, and I'm just going to read this real quick. I can put it up here if you'd like to see it. For ownership, maintenance, use, or entrustment of others to any aircraft, unmanned aircraft systems, including drones, airfields, runways, hangars, buildings, or other properties in connection with aviation activities other than premises, which means if something happens on site. I was familiar with this because I've dealt with a couple of issues over the last year that have involved different types of aircrafts and some things that we had going on with the county. That occurring, I did go ahead and reach out to our insurance representative at ASIP, specifically the loss control manager for them. And I wanted to make sure that I was interpreting the exclusion correctly, which that was confirmed. In addition to that, I've had a couple different conversations with that same person, and ASIP strongly encourage us not to allow these types of activities because we do have an exclusion on our insurance. And so if there is something that's associated with the use or entrustment of a private aircraft, they are not going to provide any liability coverage for us. Okay. That was really the crux of it. In reference to reviewing that, the initial review, I did reach out to the department director, and I advised him, I need to research this, and I need to touch base with our insurance because I'm relatively sure that that there is an exclusion that occurs. And the proposed initial travel and what the request was put in for was for the following week, and it was for a couple flights over to Henderson, Nevada. And I just simply asked if we have the ability to give them to provide a vehicle for that person to make that travel. Can we please do that? And I was assured that would be able to occur. There was some indication that there may be a potential future travel as well, so I knew that we were going to deal with that. We do not currently have another policy that addresses this in another fashion. And so a little bit of research that I had done as well to find out how long this policy had been in effect. And I can only trace it back to the county policy to 2008, just because of how record keeping is. I will tell you that the form that goes along with this was created 26 years ago, at least 26 years ago in 2 of 1998. And so it's been in there for quite a while. The ASIP exclusion has been in place since 2004, and so it's not like either one of those are something that's new. However, I could not find personnel that could tell me when the last time that this issue had or request had been made. So that's the background information on it. I feel as the Director of Risk and Emergency Management, I feel a strong obligation to tell you that I would strongly discourage this based upon that exclusion and the potential exposure that we have out there. If you are curious, because that may come up, because we do have a couple planes that the Sheriff's Office has, those 2 planes and 2 pilots. They are insured specifically with a separate binder. So that is underwritten each year, and they have specific requirements and specific pilots that are carried under that policy there. It's not a cheap policy. It's something that we separate out, and that's how we provide that coverage. So if you were wondering about that. And at this point, I'll open that up if you've got any questions for me.
Madam Chair. I've had a problem with our policy regarding travel for a long time, and it seems like I never get the answer that I'm looking for. When somebody takes a car, they say, okay, I'm going to use my private vehicle. We're not additionally insured, are we? Answer's no.
No,
So
no,
I think
absolutely. No. Do we require additionally insured? Even in this policy right here, it doesn't require an additionally insured under the current policy.
Right. So
Right.
we really don't care. We really don't care if a guy's in a car, if we have liability over him, because we don't require them, even though it's business. And as a business, we should be requiring them to insure us, or we furnish them a vehicle. I don't see the difference. And I guess we don't even require them to show us proof of insurance. We don't have insurance forms on file for employees that use their personal vehicles. So the more I think about it, let him fly his plane. What do I care? That's all, Madam Chair.
Madam Chairman. It's probably more of a question for HR. When we're reimbursing people for flying aircraft, how do we reimburse them? Is it at the same rate that it would be if they were to drive an automobile?
I'll be honest on that one. I am not 100% sure. Copy of that. This is the first time I've experienced one of the FSD-5s, which is related to the aircraft. So if you'll bear with me just a moment, I think we have one on hand. And if not, I believe that Director Mornian is also on the line and may be able to
Supervisor
confer with
Gould,
that.
I may be able to answer that. Just the policy states, for both personal and rental aircraft, pilots shall be reimbursed the cost of a trip based upon the current personal vehicle mileage rate. The mileage used shall be the distance traveled had the pilot driven to the destination, with a maximum one-way mileage being 500 miles. So I think what you do is you take what the rate would be for driving a vehicle and you get reimbursed that. Yeah.
So do they reimburse them as if they drove on a road? Or is it as the aircraft flies?
Road.
Yeah. That's the road.
The way it is with most entities, they give you your mileage as if you were driving. It's based on the miles driving because that pretty much compensates for the different costs in fuel. Fuel for a plane is a little bit more. It's actually pretty interesting because they weigh out about the same. The amount of fuel I burn flying one way somewhere is about the same amount of cost as it is to drive it in a car. It's just you get the time saving.
Depends on the aircraft. The twin turboprop aircraft that an individual has burns a lot more fuel than.
Yeah, definitely. I believe the county plane runs somewhere around 20 gallons per hour, where my plane's a two-seater, goes six gallons to the hour.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
I'm sure.
Supervisor Lingenfelter, go ahead.
Joe, to Supervisor Johnson's point, the county doesn't insure private cars, right?
That is correct.
So, I mean, we're what fifth largest geographically in the county or in this country as far as land area. Whether it's a private car or a private plane, or what if it's even a private boat? You know, I mean, we don't insure any of those, right? If they use one of those to get to work, how do we? Why aren't all vehicles treated somewhat the same?
Well, I'll try to answer that. If they're using a private vehicle, and I'm gonna separate them out because you use the term to work. If they're using it for county businesses, it goes out there. There is some excess insurance, some excess liability insurance that they do provide for vehicles. Our insurance carrier that is not covered because there's a general exclusion on the aviation. And so when you have that, there is a requirement that they maintain at least what's required by state level. And then this is going to be a little bit soft, but I'm trying to answer your question. If you do have a car accident, while you can see statistics that talk about them being more frequent than auto, and those are sheer numbers. There's a lot more on the road. But in addition to that, they don't necessarily have the magnitude. If you have an aircraft issue, there's potential that people are not going to be alive any longer, including pilots, including anybody that potentially could be on the ground and anything that can stand out there. And then while I know that $1 million sounds like a lot, if a plane goes down someplace, I just want you to understand the magnitude from that standpoint. In addition to that, there's a comment made regarding this being a common policy around. Another question that I did ask our insurance provider was if there was any other counties that were allowing that and that have policy that which had that practice in place, and he told me no, none. So I just,
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to jump in as well. Simply the difference is with car travel for county business is we offer a vehicle for any employee, and we have a carpool option where we say you're traveling on county business, here's a vehicle that is available to you, it's insured, it's covered, and you use it. If you choose not to, for whatever reason, then you sign a waiver form and you understand the risk associated with that. That's not the case here. That is simply the biggest difference. And as far as ASIP, and as a Board of Trustees member of ASIP, the exposures to the county when a use is excluded specifically is really, I think, higher and more substantial than the county should be willing to take on. And that's really where we understand, I understand Jesse's wishes and concerns and respect them. It's really more of risk to him as a person, as an employee, because he would not be covered under ASIP, and it's exposure for the county as well. That's really the 2 points that I wanted to share with the board. Thank you.
Chair. That, to your point, Manager Elters, so if the county offers a county carpool vehicle and they refuse and they want to take their own and they do, are they covered by ASIP at that point? If they opt to not take the county carpool vehicle and they take their private vehicle and they get in an accident, are they covered by ASIP?
Madam Chair, Supervisor Lingenfelter, my understanding is by signing the waiver and proving that you have insurance and it covers you, your insurance is
responsible.
Basically responsible
So
for
if
that coverage.
we have a meeting for them to go to and we offer a county carpool vehicle and they refuse it and they instead fly their private plane, which is privately insured, what's the difference? They're not covered by ASIP either.
No, so, well, true, aside from the cost associated with an incident in one or the other, with a county vehicle, we have an option for them. In fact, that is the preferred. That's what we tell our employees. You're on county business, use a county vehicle. For whatever reason, whether it be in personal or otherwise, they choose not to, and they choose to use their own vehicle, and then we take necessary measures to ensure that they're covered, they're insured. But we have an option to offer them, is my point. We don't have an option of an airplane. So it's, it is simply risks associated with the ways of travel and conducting and completing the county business. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
But it is excluded, and as a coverage that ASIP has specifically removed and is not covering, and as the county manager, it's not something that I would take lightly of an exposure, and that's my recommendation to the board. That's what it's based on.
I think I understand what you're saying. In all cases, we're offering a carpool vehicle to go to a meeting. In all cases, if they refuse and they use a private vehicle, whatever it is, it's on their insurance. It's on them. It's not on the county anymore. Am I mistaken, or am I still confused? I don't understand the distinction.
Madam Chair, Mr. Supervisor Lingenfelter, no, you're understanding what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
Madam Chair,
Supervisor Johnson.
I think the problem is, unless I misunderstood Mr. Dorner, you're saying that somebody who drives a vehicle, ASIP is still spending, or we're expending monies on that vehicle to cover them?
Not spending money on the specific vehicle, but there is some excess liability.
Okay, I guess that's what gets back to what I brought up before. we're letting somebody pick a vehicle, and I could ask right now to show all the insurance, current insurance of every vehicle somebody's personally driving for county business, and you cannot show me. Yeah, I know that's true because I've asked before to say, hey, show me this. Anybody who's driving a personal vehicle does not have us as additionally insured. I've never been to a place where that's not, if you're going to do it, and I know the reason they don't do it, because their insurance rates will go up, so they don't want to do it. But if we're not going to require the people with vehicles to have this insurance, and unfortunately for Jesse, he has to have a yearly inspection, he has to have physicals. His vehicle is probably in a lot better shape than ours. We require none of that of the people that are charging us mileage. So, well, I understand what the manager's saying. It's a personal point to me that if we're not requiring the others, why should we pick on Jesse?
I'm going to throw one more thing out there because I know it's been asked, what is the difference? And I'm going to tell you that the difference is that ASIP does not exclude the practice of us allowing people to be able to utilize private vehicles if they choose to do so, and there is some excess coverage. And so at the end of the day, that's the difference.
It'll be the county's responsibility. It's going to be the county's responsibility anyway. The responsibility will be on the county's coffers, not ASIP.
Madam Chair and Supervisor Johnson, that's correct. And I just want you to understand that liability is out there, and it's for the county versus what our insurance. We do. There's different ways of addressing risk if you do have an exposure. This is obviously a significant exposure as we see it written into an exclusion. You know, we can turn around, we can transfer risk. We try to do that through insurance. Is there some transfer of risk over there in having the employee have an insurance policy on that? Yeah, there is, but we do not have anything with us, so there's not complete. There's avoidance, and avoidance means that if you don't have that practice, then you don't have a concern over there on that. This is not a frequent, and we have 1,160 employees, and you're talking a small group, but we do accept that exposure from that. And when I say small group, I couldn't find anyone in the county, unless you went far back, where anyone even realized that this policy or this had ever been questioned in amount. So that's a small number over there from that standpoint. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that if that's allowed, then Mojave County accepts that responsibility for the liability.
Well, Madam Chair, I can tell you that I, in the past, used private small planes where I rented them with a pilot, obviously, to fly, and never had any problem with reimbursement. But I'm guessing, especially with airplanes, because Supervisor Bishop knows, they have more strict requirements. We have employees who are driving vehicles who are getting reimbursed that have multiple car wrecks in our county vehicles, and we don't, we just keep paying them. So that's the last I have. Thank you.
So, one thing that is concerning to me is anybody can go and do the ground school, take their flight test, and get a pilot license if they have the desire to put in the time and effort. So there's no difference once you get that pilot license from a pilot that's got, say, 40 hours as opposed to a pilot with 400 hours. Big difference there as far as experience. If we make this a policy, we don't have any way of knowing how experienced this pilot may be, because this is going to be a countywide policy. What kind of plane this person may own, who does the annual inspections on it. I mean, there's a lot of complexities involved in aviation rules and regulations. And you're right, $1 million insurance policy, really, if it comes to a serious accident where life is lost, I mean, how much is a life worth? That can happen in an automobile as well as an airplane, except an airplane can take out a commercial airliner or a residence that has a family living in it. or it could just, there's just so many possibilities, more so than driving a vehicle, is what I'm trying to point out. I don't know what kind of plane Jesse flies, but it really doesn't matter, because if we make this a policy, then it's going to cover whether it's a 150 Cessna or a big turbojet. I mean, there's just too many unknowns out there for me to be comfortable with it. And with me being a pilot, I think I understand probably as good, if not better than most people on the board, how things can go wrong when you're up at 10,000 foot. Right, Jesse?
Madam Chair, one additional thought, if I may. As far as our motor pool is concerned, those vehicles are reported to ASIP annually, and they're covered. And as you know, we have tiers of coverage. So we're covered to a certain point through ASIP, and then ASIP secures additional coverage for instances or events where it may exceed that. But the county exposure will be limited if we, in this case, because it's specifically excluded from coverage, any exposure to the county would be borne by the county, and that is really what I'm concerned about. I understand fully what you all are saying, Supervisor Johnson and Supervisor Lingenfelter and yourself, as far as the requirements of aviation and what that require. And those incidents do not happen very often. However, they do happen. And when they do happen, it could be an exponentially higher risk for the county than otherwise. And that's what we're trying to manage and protect against. Thank you.
So I would be more inclined to support this if this was had some kind of control from our aviation division, with our chief pilot having some kind of input or control or whatever with these various pilots that may come out of the woodwork if we approve this, because I know that Jesse and I are not the only pilots that are civilian in the employment of Mojave County. So
can we just do a waiver?
We could, but the insurance, once the loss is capped at $1 million, then they're going to come after the county. So I don't think a waiver is going to protect the county. I don't know. They always go after the deep pockets first, but $1 million.
If you have a good enough waiver that whoever's going to fly a plane, if we say, hey, we're paying you $80 to go to Vegas and back, how you get there, I care less. He just puts in for his $80 and doesn't tell me he's flying a plane. I don't care.
I don't know. Might be kind of fun to be the first county to have a policy like that and see where it goes. But I'm retiring, so.
Apparently, we already have a policy like.
If that's something, Madam Chair, if that's something you'd like me to look into, I can. I did have a brief conversation. The potential to completely separate the employee from the county in those circumstances. I don't have an answer for you right now, but that's something that I can take a look at. But it really doesn't change what's going on, because when we do this is not only not separating, that's endorsing that person to be able to do that as a county representative and go back to that. That's where we're at. We do not have any level of coverage for the county for that circumstance.
I do think we need more information, and also I'd like to know. I'd like to know once this private aircraft lands at the destination, are then will be required to reimburse for a rental car so they can get from the airport to the location where they need to do county business. That's not clear as well.
Madam Chair, no, they only get mileage. Good part is we're getting back to work in 2 hours. Like a lot of us, like Supervisor Lingenfelter, I mean, he's taking the plane up to Colorado. out of city in those places, I know, because it saved him time. I think if you're gonna look at something, you really need to look at our vehicle policy. That's the one that's scary to me, that it could cost a lot of money.
So maybe we should continue this and bring it back after looking at our travel policy in general.
Madam Chair, I would agree with Supervisor Johnson's comments regarding where the real liability threat is regarding the private vehicles. I don't think that this is as big of a threat to us personally.
Madam Chair, if it's acceptable to the board to direct us to go back and look at travel at large and come back with some options, and if indeed to continue to allow aviation with a certain waiver, we can work on the language of that to ensure that we're accommodating, but we're protecting the taxpayer of Mojave County. We'll be happy to do that if the board wishes to direct us in that direction.
Okay, I will put that in the form of a motion. And I'd also like to have our chief pilot be a participant in the policy when it comes to aviation. So I do that in the form of a motion.
Can you tell us what the motion is?
To continue this and have staff relook at our travel policy.
So, all right. But can the employee fly now until we get it done? So that we were allowing it before.
My position, at least from our perspective, would be the yes, because there's still policies in place, until it changes.
Fine with me.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. To be continued.
Didn't have these problems with the last flood control director, did we?
Okay, going on to the next item, number 83, discussion of possible action. Approve changes to the personnel policies and procedures section 6.2 vehicle use policy subsection 6.307 assigned vehicle policy.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next item is approve changes to personnel policies and procedure sections 3.1.b, 3.1.f, and 3.10 paid time off policy.
Motion approved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that passes as well. Item number 85, possible action regarding approve changes to personnel policies 6.9 and create a new section 6.9 claims by supervisors.
Madam Chair, I have a question on this. This is in statute. Why is this even being brought to us?
I don't know.
And I have a motion
Chair.
tonight.
Supervisor Bishop.
We have a motion and a second, Madam Chair.
Yes, we do. And who's on the line?
This is Luke Morning, Chief Financial Officer.
Okay. What do you got?
I asked HR to put this on the board agenda. The reason being, looking back through the county's records over the last 4 or 5, 6 years, there's been some inconsistent application of this. The state statute is exactly the language that we have used for the proposed policy. It's always good to have our policy be consistent with state statute. I just wanted to make sure that all the board members were aware of this. Finance is going to, this was brought to my attention during a discussion with other finance directors around the state. And so looking into it, realizing that we have not been consistent here in Mojave County with enforcing this, I wanted to make sure that the entire board was aware of it. What's proposed today makes sure that the county's policy is consistent with state statute, and that any personal claims by members of the board against the county would require the signature of another board member and that of the county treasurer. Now, I just want to make sure everybody understands that most of the claims by board members or by their districts are covered by other portions of county policy, such as our P card policy or the existing travel policy. What this applies to is only those claims which are for personal reimbursement to a board member, and that would be something like a travel advance. It would be a request for mileage reimbursement if a supervisor does not have a county assigned vehicle and they're using their personal vehicle for county business, things of that nature. So it's really just administrative in nature, making sure that the county policy is completely in alignment with state statute.
Madam Chair, once again, this is finance's job. It has nothing to do with us. Finance hasn't been doing your job, haven't been getting forms that are submitted and signed off. That's not the supervisor's fault. We have a motion and a second. I call for the question.
Okay, I have one person signed up to speak on this that I need to recognize, Scotty McClure.
Late, isn't it? I signed up for 83 and 84 also. The hell with all you.
Okay, all those in favor of denial indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 86, this will be a discussion of possible action regarding authorized funding not to exceed $23,000 toward the state of Utah's landmark public lands lawsuit with the U.S. Supreme Court, and authorize the board's support of Utah's legal action by signing on as a co-signer of the brief to be filed at the U.S. Supreme Court by the American Lands Council. Supervisor Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Everybody here is quite aware of the federal issue we have. I think if Utah is successful, it'll really help Arizona and Mojave County, and all of us have dealt with the Utah people. So if there aren't any questions, I'd make a motion to approve with money coming from Tennessee.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item is brought to us by our civil county attorney. This would be for legal advice regarding current litigation. I don't believe there's any action required on that.
I'm sorry, Chairman. If I thought of something. If the board could take a motion to direct the county's attorney, so our attorney, to proceed as discussed in executive session. That's kind of the practice that we should be following. So
okay, I'll make that as a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Next item from Supervisor Lingenfelter to discuss excess county-owned parcels.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is something that we placed on the agenda earlier this year in May with a 60-day turnaround, seconded by Supervisor Gould, and just wanted to put it back on the agenda to the county manager.
Madam Chair and Supervisor Lingenfelter, really quick, if I may, thank you for bringing it back. It's been ready. I've waited a bit. I'm going to give you a brief update really quick. We've conducted the review that the board approved and requested. It really involved multiple departments. The assessor's office was tremendous help as we went through a couple of iterations to identify the number of parcels first, and then from there determine those that have improvements on them, those that have buildings, those that are needed for right-of-way purposes, those that are in a floodway, and so on. And then we reduced it down to the number of parcels that we feel we can recommend to the board. So we started with about 336 parcels in total that the county owns, and we reduced that down to about 180 that we feel that we can recommend to the board for disposal. the reason I had not brought it back is I also asked to meet with departments, including treasurer, recorder, and assessor, as well as the county attorney's office, to put together a plan and bring it back to the board related to how we dispose, how we complete these transactions, whether with appraisals, and if so, how we do it, and because cost can become a factor for these appraisals. So we are working on that. We've had one meeting already. We got one other meeting coming up with these various departments, including procurement. And I would hope to come back to you in about a month, maybe a couple of board meetings, to present to you not only what I just shared with you, but also a suggestion or recommendation that you can direct staff with. Many of those parcels are nice and big and have either rectangular and or square shapes, but some of them are very small and some are slivers. The treasurer has offered to identify the slivers and maybe begin by contacting property owners to ask if they're interested. So we're on it. Just need a little bit more time to bring you a plan that we can present to you to get some direction.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you, County Manager. The item did say bring that back to the board within 60 days, but hearing that, I'm thankful for the work that you and everybody has been doing. So you're saying that it'll come back to this board for review and possible approval of some sort in maybe November? Is that what you're saying?
I would hope in November. If the November board meetings are loaded for some reason, I will commit to you to bring it. I believe we're going to have at least one meeting in December. We'll bring it either November or December, but no later than that, Supervisor.
Good. Madam Chair, I'm not requesting any action on this.
Okay. We'll go on to item number 89. Direct the county manager to bring the new county policy to the board within 30 days, time directing to competitively recomplete all legacy software solutions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I placed this on the board. I want to give another kudos and shout out to the county's information technology director, Nathan McDaniel. As we saw previously in the agenda, just by reviewing and competitively looking at what's best for the customers, our citizens, and the taxpayers, just by looking at one legacy software solution, we're going to be saving over $1.8 million over a 5-year period. And that really got me to thinking, how many other legacy software solutions or types of things like that are out there where there might be some cost savings? I mean, $1.8 million in a structural deficit is big money. It saves way more than we did on the hiring freeze. It saves way more than we did, well, maybe not the hiring freeze, the travel freeze. So this is just, bringing before this board, contemplating a new county policy that would basically say that the county has to competitively recompete all of their legacy software solutions, no less than every 7 years, just to assure that our county taxpayers are receiving both the best service capabilities and maximized value for every taxpayer dollar spent. Thank you.
We don't need any action on that?
I'd make a motion to direct staff to bring that policy back to this board within 30 days' time.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Madam Chairman.
Supervisor Gold.
The only rub with doing it every 7 years is if you end up in the middle of a contract for that software. So you might want to look at if there was a renewal that's shorter than that we re-competed at the renewal date.
Madam Chair, Supervisor Gould, actually when I put this on the board, that's a really good point. I think I'm going to see Tara coming down. Maybe she'd come to the podium. Tara, I know software sometimes is a little different, but I know that our procurement code says this. I know that the state procurement code says you don't really want to have a contract for more than a 5-year period without a procurement. So
thank you, supervisors. So my recommendation would be that we would look at legacy software and then make a recommendation to possibly re-solicit. I've got concerns with saying formally compete because we don't generally do our own competition for software. So I think understanding what the board's direction is here, I think Nathan and I could work together and make a recommendation to the board, understanding really the goal is to look at things no more than every 7 years and determine, does it make sense for us to stay with that software and keep moving forward off of whatever vehicle we use to purchase it, or should we look at other options?
Thank you, Tara. Staying true to our own county code, procurement code, and the state code. Should we really leave that at 5 years? Or, I mean,
I think if you'd leave it open to us to look at what that makes sense, we can bring that back as part of the
okay.
policy as well.
I'm going to make a revised motion that's a little more open-ended to just ask county staff to bring back a policy to this board within 30 days regarding procurement of software.
Second.
May I make one more suggestion, if you might, please? Our in 30 days, the first meeting in November is going to be a heavy agenda. If you wouldn't mind just moving, I'm just trying to look at what you guys.
Anything for you, Laura, of course. 45 days, 60 days, what do you think?
45 would be great.
Okay.
It's just that one.
45 days, thank you.
45 days, we've got a second. I'm assuming that's withdrawn the first and the second.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does pass. Okay, next item brought to us by Supervisor Johnson. Presentation from the Mojave County Department of Public Health regarding medical provider coverage estimates for 2024. Hello, Melissa.
Good morning, Chairman and Board of Supervisor members. Give me just a moment to pull up the presentation. Okay, so this is bringing back from the 2020 numbers that we provided to the board in September. This is bringing the 2024 numbers. So this slide shows what I presented at the last meeting. So this is from the 2020 numbers. Oh no, this is the wrong presentation. Hang on just a moment. That's not it either. There it is. My apologies. It was a different screen than I'm used to at the podium. Okay, so this is the 2020 numbers. And for this presentation, I need to thank Arizona Department of Health Services and Dr. Santorelli at KRMC. Arizona Department of Health Services provided the numbers, and then Dr. Santorelli created the table of the 2024 numbers and comparing them to the 2020 numbers, which is what I provided to the Board of Supervisors in September. The same categories are highlighted as needs within Mojave County. Family practice numbers increased, internal medicine numbers increased. However, for OBGYN, in 2020, the number was 7 to meet the minimum, and now we need 8 to meet the minimum. Pediatrics actually decreased by 3, so now we need 2 to meet minimum. Gastroenterology is the same at 2. It was 2 in 2020, it's 2 now. Ophthalmology is another one that increased, so instead of 7, we now have 8 that we need. Otolaryngology is decreased by 1, so it was 3 last time, now it's 2. Pathology is the same, and then psychiatry has increased to 7 that we need to meet the minimum. Overall, taking all of the numbers for all of these providers into consideration, Mojave County has improved by 41.6%. However, it's going to be, again, in the family practice, internal medicine, and some of the other categories, not necessarily in those areas where we already had a need. I included in this presentation the hospital rankings for each of our 4 facilities within Mojave County. There are 2 areas that we pull it from. U.S. News does a report for hospitals and publishes it annually. This is from that entity, so all 4 are considered high performing. but in different categories. So Havasu is high performing in heart failure, COPD, and pneumonia care. KRMC is high performing in heart attacks, heart failure, and COPD and pneumonia. Valley View is high performing in hip fractures, and Western Arizona Regional Medical Center is high performing for heart attacks, kidney failure, and COPD. I also went to Medicare.gov and pulled the hospital rankings from there. For this report, I did screenshots of what they had just to provide a nice visual. The heart on each of those means that they are birthing friendly, so they're going to have delivery options at the facility. If you were unaware, Western Arizona Regional Medical Center closed their birthing unit, so they do not have the heart. Overall rating is based on how well the hospitals performed across different areas of quality, such as heart attacks, pneumonia, readmission rates for care, and safety of care. The patient survey rating measures patients' experiences of their hospital care. So recently discharged patients receive a survey. They get to fill it out on topics such as how well the nurses and doctors communicated, how responsive hospital staff were to their needs, and cleanliness and quietness of the facility. And then last, I pulled what we know as JCO, or the Joint Commission's accredited hospitals. We have 3 out of the 4 that are accredited, and that's going to be Warm C, Havasu Regional Medical Center, and Valley View Medical Center. This is optional. A facility does not have to be accredited. It usually involves payment to the JCO entity of a fee of some sort, and then proof that they're meeting additional standards. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Melissa. Any questions?
Sure.
Supervisor Johnson.
The reason I asked her to ask the health department to bring this up is I don't think that people are understanding the limited amount of medical attention that we have in the county. And it affects our economic development and growth. We've had people on the board talk about air flights. Average cost between $25 and $35. Usually get 2 bills. Medicare will cover air ambulance service in very limited set of circumstances, but most people in Mojave County aren't covered. When you look at your trauma center categorization, KRMC is a level 3. Or HRMC is a level 3, KRMC is a level 4, WARM is a 3, Valley View, we couldn't find that. But Trauma 1 is the level 1 is the highest. The best we have is a level 3, which means more people have to be shipped out of Mojave County to receive medical service. Some of the numbers that were given by the health department are a little misleading, because like Havasu has one neurologist, but she's only there twice a month. So while we have one, you can't get in to see him. I think it's something that, either the county should work with the cities or something, say we need to bring up our health services, because, when you look at what she was saying, how good we are, COPD, it looks like we can take care of that anywhere in the county, but I don't know if that's going to help you with liver failure or these other things. I just wanted to bring it out so that the board knew, and maybe as time goes on, it might be something that they want to look at, to ask the hospitals, and what is stopping this, because I know a lot of them, especially in the Havasu region, everything's being bought up by one outfit, so they're stopping new people from coming in. That's all. Thank you,
Madam Chair.
Yeah, Supervisor Lincoln.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Palmer, with the data that you've collected on the different healthcare services, specialties, and the shortages that are being forecast, the first question that comes to my mind is, what are we doing with that data? Is there any sort of healthcare services sector strategy in Mojave County to to address these medical shortages? I mean, are all of the stakeholders, the hospitals, public health department for the county, and possibly others, are they all organizing and binding together to collaboratively tackle these forecasted shortages, or is this something that's just being handled in a really atomized fashion?
The healthcare provider situation is a multifaceted situation. So we not only have the recruitment of individuals that are qualified to fill those roles, but they are also bringing families with them. They're bringing spouses. They're bringing school-age children. And so they're looking, when somebody's qualified at that level to practice medicine, they hold the cards. So if their family's looking for something specific and the area doesn't have that, they're going to go look elsewhere for wherever they're going to relocate their family. That being said, our community health needs assessment, one of the working items that came out of that is a coalition countywide to look at what can be updated, changed, what are the needs, where can we be effective. And then Bullhead City already had a coalition going that is working on healthcare type items. And so it's just getting everybody on the same page moving forward.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm trying to get to. I'll use the manufacturing sector in Mojave County, for instance. Rather than everybody advocating individually for what they needed, there was a lot of commonalities that were going to benefit all manufacturers. So what they ended up doing was forming a manufacturing association, the Kingman and Mojave Manufacturing Association, so they could collectively organize and address things like inbound, outbound shipping costs, the cost of electricity, whatever else, right? Is there anything like that existing right now with healthcare services? I understand what you're saying, with families and things like that for healthcare services providers, but is everybody getting together in like a healthcare services sector strategy to say, hey, look, this is affecting all of us, and what are we going to do about it? And so all of us can be more successful in recruiting professionals. Is anything like that going on? I know that you do a survey, but what happens with it after that?
We have follow-up meetings afterwards, so it's community health improvement plan groups is what happens after that, and they either meet monthly, sometimes they meet quarterly, depending on what they're working on. And those are the groups that we're launching right now. So we have a meeting coming up in Lake Havasu City. We have one in 2 weeks it might be next week, my apologies. We have a meeting coming for Kingman Regional Medical Center next week. And then Colorado City is going to be November 22nd is when we're going to be up there meeting with them. We do not yet have a meeting for the Bullhead City area, but it's to get everybody on the same page. And then once we have that initial meeting, then we can launch into the actions after that.
Yeah. Being on the board for 4 years, I've only been to one meeting where you had all of the hospitals represented in one room. And that's just like mind-boggling to me. I mean, are these guys so busy that they can't even get together even quarterly, like one time, every 3 months to say, let's stay on the same page, let's organize. It's better for everybody, all of us, if we just stay organized on these things and we push with a collective voice. I don't see that happening. I wish it would.
I wish it would also. We have an emergency, our public health emergency preparedness team has a hospital meeting quarterly. And more times than not, it's 2 out of 4 that attend, and sometimes it's 3 out of 4. Last time it was 3 out of 4 that attended, and I thought that was a win.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Thank you, Madam Chairman. Melissa, do we know where are they going in Bullhead City to give birth now?
They are usually driving to Kingman. They can go to Valley View, though.
Interesting.
Yes.
Or Needles. Do they still go there?
It depends on if the woman is in full active labor, whether or not they're going to go to Needles versus Valley View.
And I'm guessing that this is from the low reimbursement rate from Access, since Access pays for the birth of about 80% of the children in the state of Arizona.
I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I do know that providers were a concern. They didn't have the provider there to run their OB unit, and financially that might have been a factor, but I'm not aware of anything specific that I can speak to.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Chairman.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, the last item for this meeting will be to authorize District 3 project to use ARPA funds in the amount not to exceed $100,000 to purchase technology, infrastructure components that would further enhance countywide operations. Thank
Motion
you,
to approve.
Supervisor Johnson.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this meeting is adjourned.